On the morning of December 11th, 2010, a Suffolk County officer walked along a desolate stretch of Ocean Parkway on Long Island's South Shore. He wasn't looking for bodies. He was looking for a missing sex worker named Shannon Gilbert. What he found instead stopped him cold. A burlap sack half buried in the sand, with the remains of a young woman inside. Within days, 3 more bodies would be found nearby. All women, all wrapped the same way. All missing from roughly the same window of time. The world would soon know this stretch of coastline by another name, Gilgo Beach. And for more than a decade, the man responsible would walk among them unnoticed, living an ordinary life in a quiet suburban neighborhood, commuting into the city and waving to his neighbors. A man with a wife, kids, and a pickup truck. His name was Rex Heuermann, and he wasn't some monster lurking in the woods. He was the guy you invited into your home to design your kitchen remodel. Rex Heuermann's life didn't look like the life of a serial killer. Born in 1964 and raised on Long Island, he grew up the kind of kid who tinkered with model kits and took things apart just to see how they worked. He went on to study architecture, built a small firm in Midtown Manhattan, and spent decades working for the city's elite. He was the guy who solved building code problems no one else could, the one who spoke softly but insisted on precision. He was described by coworkers as odd, meticulous, and intimidating in small ways. Not dangerous, just off. Neighbors said he kept to himself. He rarely smiled, he collected old tools and guns, and his home, a crumbling house in Massapequa Park, looked frozen in time. But the double life was there, buried just under the drywall. Behind that mild-mannered exterior was a man meticulously maintaining 2 worlds. One where he was a devoted husband and father, and another built on burner phones, fake email accounts, and late-night searches for women who fit a very specific type. Heuermann had a pattern. He contacted women online, he met them, paid for them, and made sure they disappeared. Their remains placed just off Ocean Parkway, in the same stretch of sand that would come to haunt an entire county. And while the killings stopped, or at least appeared to, Rex Heuermann went right on living with his life. He was there the whole time, driving past the investigation scenes, reading about the case on the news, and walking into the same office every day, a ghost with a day job. The investigation into the Gilgo Beach murders began like a storm without direction. Too many leads, not enough clarity, and no one to tell if they were chasing one killer or several. Between 2010 and 2011, 10 sets of human remains were found along that lonely stretch of Ocean Parkway. Different ages, different years, but eerie similarities. Most were sex workers who had vanished after meeting clients through Craigslist. Police called him the Long Island serial killer. Reporters branded him the Craigslist Ripper. But inside the department, it was chaos. The jurisdictional lines between Suffolk and Nassau County blurred. Politics got in the way. Detectives were rotated off the case, and key evidence, like call records and witness statements, sat idle for years. All while Rex Heuermann lived less than 20 miles away from where the bodies were found. He was hiding in plain sight. He drove to work every morning in his aging Chevy Avalanche, parked it on 5th Avenue, and walked into his architecture firm like a normal human being. He was anything, however, but normal or even human. He had burner phones, multiple email aliases, and browser histories filled with searches that read like a confession. Gilgo Beach victims, how cell towers work, and countless dark fantasies typed into the void. Heuermann's online life revealed a mind steeped in control and cruelty, but not random or impulsive. Every choice was measured, every interaction documented. Still, for over a decade, the case froze. It eventually took a new task force and a new mindset to thaw it. When Suffolk County appointed a new police commissioner in 2022, he quietly assembled a cold case team dedicated solely to Gilgo Beach. They had one mandate: start from scratch. Detectives pored over old phone records. They re-examined every scrap of physical evidence using updated forensic tech. And slowly, the name Rex Heuermann rose from the noise. His Chevy Avalanche matched a vehicle that witnesses had placed near one of the victims, and cell data pinged in the same areas where the women had vanished. And when investigators pulled his DNA from discarded pizza crusts, the match came back. It was him. 13 years after the first body was found, the quiet architect from Massapequa Park was finally unmasked. In 2022, the The Gilgo Beach case finally got the kind of attention it had deserved 12 years earlier. New Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison wasn't interested in theories or politics. He was interested in results. He pulled the files. He formed the Gilgo Beach Homicide Investigation Task Force, and within months, the picture started to sharpen. Investigators rebuilt the case from the ground up. They used cell tower triangulation to map out every phone call ping tied to the victim's last known locations. The same device, or one with the same signature, kept showing up near the drop sites. Then it appeared again, in Midtown Manhattan, right outside Rex Heuermann's architecture office. Detectives ran his address, Massapequa Park, 18 miles from Gilgo Beach. From there, surveillance began. They followed him for months. Heuermann's routine was clockwork: train into the city, work all day, back home by nightfall. No signs of panic, no hint that he suspected a thing, but every move he made left a breadcrumb. When he tossed trash, investigators collected it. When he stopped for pizza, they waited. The DNA on that pizza crust matched the mitochondrial DNA from one of the burlap-wrapped victims. They also traced the burner phones he'd used to contact them. Heuermann would activate each one for a single purpose: to arrange meetings. After the victims vanished, he'd discard the phones, but the data lingered. Ping logs, call routes, and brief overlaps with the personal devices built the digital fingerprint impossible to deny. And just as damning were his online searches: dark, violent queries about sexual torture, endless deep dives into news stories about the Gilgo murders, and a fascination not just with control, but with being the unseen architect of chaos. On July 13th, 2023, the quiet man in glasses walked out of his office, briefcase in hand. He didn't make it to his car. Agents were surrounding him, with weapons drawn. 13 years of secrets ended on a Manhattan sidewalk. Inside his home, investigators found what they expected and what they didn't: firearms, disturbing materials, and hundreds of Google searches. A vault of evidence meticulously kept, just like everything else in his life. The architect had built his own prison. When the news broke that a suspect had finally been arrested for the Gilgo Beach murders, Long Island exhaled for the first time in over a decade. For years, fear had lingered on that coastline, parents warning daughters, escorts watching their backs, detectives quietly haunted by the case they couldn't solve. Now, there was a name, a face, and a man who'd walked among them all along. Neighbors stood outside his house in disbelief. The architect with the blank stare and the collapsing home was suddenly the face of one of the most notorious serial killer cases in modern American history. Parents pulled their kids aside. Reporters crowded the streets. Everyone had the same question: how did no one see this coming? For the victims' families, the moment was complicated. There was relief, but not closure. Too much time had passed. Too many birthdays missed. Too many nights spent wondering if the police even cared. Now they had an arrest, but no guarantee of answers. The case forced the public to confront something uncomfortable: that the monster wasn't a shadowy drifter or escaped convict. He was a man who designed offices and picked up his daughter from school. A man who lived in a house surrounded by Christmas lights and overgrown weeds, hiding horrors behind a locked basement door. And while the investigation finally had a name attached to it, it didn't have an ending. As of this recording, Rex Heuermann has been charged with multiple counts of murder, but prosecutors believe there may be more victims. Investigators are still combing through digital records, DNA samples, and missing persons cases that stretch far beyond Gilgo Beach. The scope is uncertain, and the questions are endless. Was Heuermann acting alone? Were there earlier victims? And did the killings truly stop, or did the world just stop looking in the right places? The courts will decide his guilt, but the story of Gilgo Beach is bigger than any one man. It's a mirror held up to the systems that failed, to the way society dismisses the vulnerable, to the way power and privilege can mask depravity for decades. And in the end, it's a reminder that evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it builds blueprints by day and buries its secrets by night. When you strip away the headlines, the mug shots, and the police briefings, what's left is the same question Touched always asks: what turns an ordinary life into a graveyard of secrets? Rex Heuermann wasn't a boogeyman. He was a husband, a father, an architect, a man who moved through the world unnoticed until the pattern beneath his footsteps finally revealed itself. The Gilgo Beach murders aren't just about him, they're about the victims, women who vanished into a system that forgot them, women whose names were buried beneath the weight of their circumstances, and a reminder that the people most at risk are often the ones most easily ignored. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a man measuring your kitchen counters. Thank you for watching Touched. Where the darkness isn't out there, it's right next door.